Welcome to Mayuri's Occult Talk Show. Today's our topic is more on child safety. Is your child really safe at school, on their phone, or even in your own home? In this powerful episode, we're joined by Webb, a nationally recognized school counselor, passionate advocate for child safety and bullying prevention. He was also chosen as a speaker on the TEDx. From cyberbullying and gaming risk to spotting emotional struggles and building resilience, Nate shares real stories, expert tips, and tools to help kids feel protected both online and in real life. Whether you're a parent, teacher, or caregiver, this conversation is your wake-up call. Don't miss it. Your child's safety starts with your awareness. Welcome, Nate. Thank you so much for coming.
Anytime.
So today's my first question is, most of the schools have school counselors. Why you are taking this message, like advocating for the kids and taking this message to the social media? What inspired you?
Right. I became a school counselor in the first place to advocate for kids. When I was a kid, I had thick glasses. I have really bad eyesight. And so because of those thick glasses, I had funny looking eyes and I got bullied for it. I got picked on a lot. And it all came to a point when I was in high school. There's 15 of my classmates who got on Facebook and messaged me. 15 messages in one day. They're about a half hour apart, 15 different people. So my iPod Touch was going off about every half hour during school. And it's just the same message from 15 different people that said, go kill yourself. And it was hard. It was really hard. And I didn't feel like I had people to advocate for me. And so growing up, as I got older and I found out I wanted to be an advocate for children who felt like they didn't have an advocate. And so that's why I became a school counselor. And then as I went on in my profession as a school counselor, I found out that more and more kids were struggling with things that they were encountering online. Digital safety, a lot of unkindness, a lot of bullying. My Instagram page where you found me initially started out as an anti-bullying page. It used to be called Bullies Be Gone because I was talking about bullying and a lot of that happened online. But then there's so many other obstacles that kids were facing online that parents just didn't know about. Parents don't really know a lot of the things their kids are getting into online. And I learned a lot of the stuff kids are getting into as a school counselor. And so I got a really big drive and a really big passion for digital safety, of helping parents to raise resilient kids in a tech-heavy world. And so I started sharing videos just in my car after work, talking about, simple things that kids are getting into that parents don't know. And a lot of parents are like, oh my goodness, I had no clue. And a lot of teachers are like, oh my gosh, this is happening in my classroom. And so just a place where we can talk about it more. And so that's kind of where it comes from.
So when you were putting in the social media, did you had any challenges? Did you had any threatening messages initially when you were starting to post about the bullying?
It was interesting. When I first started, no one really cared. I was a really small account. People don't really care. But then once I started advocating for the digital safety stuff this year, I didn't get any threatening messages or anything, but the negative comments, ironically, all came from kids.
Oh.
Like young kids commenting like, hey, stop snitching. Or like, hey, my parents had no clue about this stuff. Why are you telling them secrets? That one kid was just like, hey, leave us alone. We need social media. Like a bunch of these kids, they're the ones pushing back because unfortunately, they're the ones that are addicted right now. Oh. They're the ones that feel like they can't live without social media. They're the ones who can't look away from their screens. They're the ones who are suffering from it and they feel like they need it. And it's crazy. Social media companies do that on purpose, right? Yeah. Every single social media company, like the CEOs that live in Silicon Valley in California, did you know they don't let their kids go to schools that have screens?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they make every single one of them, their kids go to screen-free schools. And they don't let their kids have smartphones or tablets or devices because they know exactly what they're designed for. Those companies, they hire psychologists to reverse engineer the attention of children so that it keeps their attention longer. And so obviously kids are going to be the ones that are like, no, don't take it away from us because they feel like they have to have it. But deep down, deep down, they know that they need boundaries because they know it's not good for them. But there's a lot of pushback because, well, they're addicted. But yeah, that's where most of the negative comments that I've gotten from are from kids. Adults, if adults ever leave negative comments, it's usually just like, I don't really care. I don't think that's true. Mostly just being ignorant, not thinking that it's true. But then I mostly, though, have gotten a lot of grateful comments from parents. Parents just saying, oh my gosh, I had no clue. Thank you so much for telling me. Now I know what to look out for. Because it's hard to be a parent right now. We live in a day and age where no one has trained us for this.
True.
No one has trained us to have kids with cell phones. There's no training manual for how to handle all this stuff. We are the first generation of parents to have kids with almost unlimited access to the internet. Yeah. That's hard. And so I think the more of us out there that are trying to raise awareness is the more we can be helpful to the parents.
Again, the question back to the bullying.
Yeah.
There is a fine line between the fun and bullying.
Right.
So how can the kids know that they got bullied?
Okay. So the definition of bullying is repetitive behavior with the intent to harm. So it means that the perpetrator has to do it a lot and they have to be trying to hurt you or hurt your feelings on purpose. If they don't know that they're hurting your feelings, that's not bullying. If they only did it once or twice, that's not bullying. Bullying is repetitive behavior. Now, I don't like getting into the technicality sometimes with kids with like, what's bullying? What's not bullying? Because at the end of the day, unkindness is unkindness. Yeah. And it's not cool. You know, if someone's not nice to you, someone's not nice to you. But I think
as long as they're enjoying the fun, it's okay. When the fun is becoming like annoying, then
right. If both people are laughing, then it's okay. You're teasing, whatever. But if someone's not having a good time, then that's where a line has been crossed. What's important though is that people speak up. If you feel like your feelings have been hurt, or if you feel like someone has crossed the line, you need to say something. So that they know they've crossed the line. So that if they choose to continue that, they're making a choice instead of continuing in ignorance. Because at the end of the day, it's interesting because bullies are not so different than you and me. They have insecurities. They want to feel big. They want to feel strong. They want to feel in control. You know, we all have insecurities. We all want to feel in control. The biggest difference is people with bully-like behavior, they try and assert control over other people to get that control. You know, they try to put other people down so that they can feel big. They try to make other people feel small so they can feel strong. And most of the time it's because they're hurting first. I found in my experience that it's a cycle that hurt people will hurt people, and they'll hurt people, and they'll hurt people because misery loves company. I found that most children who are bullies, they either have a really hard home life where they're mistreated at home, where they have something going on where they want to feel some sort of control, and they just haven't been exposed to enough kindness yet. I've also found that if you expose anyone to enough kindness, they'll always turn around. And so that's why I'm like,
can you give us one example on this?
Oh, for sure. I mean, one of the kids that picked on me a lot in high school, I mean, he was a kid that helped him and his friends threw me in a trash can when I was in middle school. He and a bunch of his friends, you know, when I was playing football, they held me down and kicked me in the nuts. And it was, you know, all that stuff. He had a really tough home life. He was a foster kid. He was in and out of homes. And that's why he picked on me so much. But throughout the years, he got in a situation where people showed him more kindness. And when I first started my advocacy page, he was one of the first people that reached out to me and said, hey, man, I'm so sorry for how I was as a kid. I've grown a lot since then. And I just want to apologize. If there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. It was really mature of him. And the reason why was because he had finally been exposed to enough kindness in his life that he learned that kindness is the way to happiness. See, I believe there's no such thing as bad kids. Just kids who have had bad influences. And they can always get turned around.
Nate, like you have seen a lot of school counseling in your experience. So where does the kids get bullied? Like in restrooms or in recess time or in bus, or like where do you think in physical locations, where do you think
Well, I mean, wherever the opportunity can arise, sometimes that can happen in a bathroom. Sometimes that can happen in the halls. Sometimes that can happen in the lunchroom. It happens right there in the classroom sometimes. It also depends on how comfortable the students are and how much power they think they have in any given area. You know, when I was a kid, it was mostly in isolating places, places where they could do the act, say the thing, be in, be out, be quick, and teachers wouldn't see. Other times, like when I was in 7th grade, I was at a play practice. And after play practice, I had scouts that day. So I was in my scout uniform at play practice. It's in the middle of the day, broad daylight. We're in the lunchroom cafeteria of the school, wide open space. And 3 8th graders grabbed me and dragged me to the trash can and threw me in the trash can. But right now, at least, it feels like it's usually where they feel isolated. They try to get wherever they feel like adults are not looking is the easiest time for kids to do and say things that would be harmful to other kids.
When kids using their laptops, school given laptops.
Yes.
But still we see on some of the apps, the ads pop up.
Yes.
Do you think we can, as a parents, we can block them, or do we have to inform to the county? Because every device is enrolled with the county. And I don't know, the apps are having these ads and the kids go and click on them. I mean, how to block them or...
Well, here's the thing. Most of the time when kids are encountering these ads, they're usually on some video viewing app, like YouTube is the biggest one. Kids are on YouTube on a school issued device, usually at home, watching YouTube on a school issued device, and then an ad pops up. My first question is, why are us as a parent, or why are the viewer, you as a parent, why is your kid on YouTube at home by themselves? Why are you blaming the district for you not watching your kid? Right? Yes, it's a school issued computer, and yes, it should have firewalls. And they do have firewalls, but some things get through those firewalls. And so I think if the first thing we should ask is, why are we giving our kid unlimited access to a computer? Even if it's a school issued device, it should only be used for school, right? Only should be used for homework.
Here I have like a deep question.
Go for it.
On the school given laptop, the teacher assigned apps.
Yes.
Still we see the ads. So in that case, there are, I would say, the county has to.
I mean, they could, but the other thing is money. Usually in order to block an ad or something, to have a version of an app that blocks the ad, it's a premium. It costs more money. And so I would see a lot of districts that say, well, we don't have the money for that. We barely have enough money for this educational app in the first place. We're not going to pay even more to be ad free. And so my stance on that, if it can't be safe, then don't have it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Right. I've talked to a lot of teachers because I serve in 2 elementary schools. Right. I work in 2 elementary schools. I'm at one elementary school for 3 days, another elementary school for 2.5 days during the week. And a lot of teachers, if they can't guarantee something's going to be safe, then they don't put that app on the Chromebook, on the laptop, on the iPad, whatever. And so that's what I would say is just, well, then get rid of it. It's not worth it. If there's no foolproof way to make it safe, then get rid of it.
Yeah. So the same in the same pattern, the Google Sheets. I have seen you posting multiple posts on the Google Sheets. So parents think kids are working fine on their school given laptops with the Google Sheets homeworks. How we can bring the awareness on the Google Sheets?
Right. Because they're school issued computers, certain things aren't allowed, right? Yeah. They can't access certain websites. Sometimes they don't even, like the Google Chrome doesn't even work. And so the workaround that kids have found is that if they put links in Google Sheets. The Google Suite apps, Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Slides, all of them, they're not considered communication apps. They're considered learning apps. And so if you click on a link within a learning app, it goes over the firewall because the firewall is blocking communication apps. It's not blocking education apps. And so if an education app is trying to access the internet, the firewall is like, oh, it's just an education app. Okay, yeah, you can access the internet. And so kids will post links to different types of content. Sometimes it's nothing, but sometimes it is immature. Sometimes it can be pornographic content. Sometimes it can be inappropriate. And so kids and it's another way that they can try and have like secret messages with each other. Because if you have a Google Sheet and you share it with another person and you both are viewing it live, then in real time, you guys can type messages to each other and it pops up on each other's screen. And the only people who can see the Google Sheet or the Google Doc are the people that you've shared it with. Now, that can seem like it's not a big deal because when I shared that video, a ton of people, okay, so what? Kids are sending secret messages. I sent notes to people in high school too, right? It's just like sending notes. I'm like, sure. But if kids can figure out how to send secret notes to each other online using Google Sheets, how easy then would it be for maybe an online predator to try and send secret messages to a kid via Google Sheets?
True.
If kids can find these type of loopholes, I guarantee online predators can find these loopholes too. And so that's the big concern there, is that if kids are finding these loopholes, predators are finding them too. And yeah, the whole Google Learning Suite is a place where kids have found kind of a workaround to get onto previously blocked content. They want to watch a YouTube video. Okay, they'll get the YouTube video at home, put it in their notes section of their phone or even their notes section of their device. They'll just copy the link and then put it in their Google Sheet. And if they're at school or someplace where they have access to the internet, just click on the link through the Google Sheet and they'll be able to access that stuff.
Even with the like enrolled devices and if they are not in the same county, can they access with the other county students or within the county? They just need the email ID or how it works, Nate? Like
depends on what district you have. Some districts have fortunately made it strict so that the emails can't interact with each other. That being said, kids get tricky to try and communicate with other people. A lot of kids, they'll download a VPN so that basically the VPN just hides your location so that the computer no longer says, oh, you're here in this computer device. It hides all that. And so the VPN makes it so now you can send messages to other people. Oh, cool. Maybe not from your email, but using the VPN, maybe now you can access Discord. Using the VPN, maybe now you can access WhatsApp. Using the VPN, maybe now you can access, Facebook Messenger. And then using those apps, you can for sure contact anyone you want. Because they don't have the restrictions of the district email. And so I found wherever you restrict one thing, kids are just going to find another way.
They'll find some loopholes to get
And I'm not saying like give up, because we definitely don't want to give up.
Yeah.
But don't feel that like, oh, I restricted this one thing. Whew, job is done. We're good. No. Yeah. You have to be aware that kids are going to find loopholes. And you need to talk with your kids about maybe consequences that'll happen if they exploit those loopholes. What's going to happen if they hide things from you? Because if you don't talk about it, then kids are going to find ways and they're going to use those ways.
Can you also talk about the Vault app?
Yeah. So a lot of kids, there's different kind of Vault apps that they're usually for phones, where it looks like just a tool, like a calculator or a flashlight or a calendar. And when you open it up, it looks like it. But if you put in the right code on the calculator or if you tap on the right day on the calendar or whatever the app is, it's a vault for things you want kept secret photos, secret documents, secret conversations and things like that. And it looks like a normal app. It looks like a calculator app. You can even rename the app to calculator so that no one knows. Now, all apps, they're searchable by their downloaded name. And so if you just open up your app drawer and type in Vault, all the secret Vault apps will pop up. And so they're easy to find if you're looking for them, but most parents aren't looking for them. They're not thinking, oh, that could be a secret bad app that my child is hiding things from me with. They just think it's a calculator. And kids are aware of that. You know, when I was a kid, we just had flip phones. And even then we were sneaky with flip phones. Some of my friends, if they had some, you know, naughty pictures of girls on their phones, they would take a whole bunch of boring pictures of like rocks and cars and trucks and stuff and have all the naughty pictures at the very bottom. And then all the pictures of other stuff at the top. So if the parents look through the phone, they'd click a few times like, oh, it's just pictures of cars, whatever. But now with technology, kids are getting more tricky with how to hide things. And the Vault apps is one way that they're hiding things.
Other than Vault app, is there any other apps that we have to be looking for?
I would say my biggest concern with child safety, things that we should be looking out for, is ways that they can communicate with strangers online. If they have an app like Discord or, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, but even gaming apps like Roblox or Minecraft, anything with an online chat feature that gives them access to talk to other people, that is something that I would be concerned about. That I would make sure that I'm watching. You know, if my kids are playing online games like Roblox or Discord or Minecraft, I'm turning the chat mode off. No chatting when you're playing games. But yeah, I think the biggest concern is any app that gives them the capability to talk with strangers, that's a red flag. I don't want them talking with strangers.
True.
I want them to, if they're going to use the app for a tool or for a game, use it as a tool. Use it as a game even, okay. But it should not be a way to talk to strangers. And so there's so many different apps that you download them, you'll find, oh, look, there's an online chat feature. How can I turn that off? Because I don't want my kid using it. And if you can't turn it off, then your kid probably shouldn't be using it.
For parents, the kids, whoever are going under the bullying, so how can they identify it? Like if they are, kids are not communicating with the parents. So
I would say if one sign, I guess, of that your kid might be getting bullied, if they have kind of withdrawn away. I know the kids aren't communicating, but if they start acting kind of suspiciously quiet, it's almost as if they're hiding things from you, maybe hiding bruises from you, maybe hiding mental trauma from you. If they're chronically sad and also on their phone, they might be getting a lot of messages that are like unkind and things like that. So I watch for their nonverbal behavior. You know, are they withdrawing? Are they doing things? Have they stopped doing the hobbies that make them happy? And things like that. The more isolated a kid is making themselves, the more something is happening behind the scenes that you don't know about. Maybe it's bullying. Maybe it's just the comparison culture of social media. But the more withdrawn a kid gets, the more that something's happening behind the scenes that parents should probably know about.
So how can they communicate that we are there for them, like for backing up them?
Tell them.
So
a lot. A lot of times parents think, I had a conversation, one and done. I did it. Good. I had the conversation. And it's not how that works.
Yeah.
We have to earn our kids' trust. The first time you tell them, hey, I'm here for you, you'll go, They won't even say words. Yeah. They'll use caveman grunting. Okay. Like, okay. And then maybe the second time you say, hey, how's your day? Okay. And then the fourth or fifth time, hey, how's school going? Yeah, it's going okay. And then the more times you ask, the more times that you give your kid, the more they're going to open up. Studies have shown that just 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes, and not even 10 minutes at once. It can be 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, but giving your kids 10 minutes of your time for them to talk. You ask them how they're doing, then give them 10 minutes. It might be 10 minutes of silence, but be there. Show them you're willing to listen. That means a lot to them. It'll take some time, but eventually they're going to open up. We have to be patient. A lot of times we as parents, we're telling kids, oh, you guys need to be patient. You guys are so impulsive control. You guys need social media. We need to be patient too. Our kids take time to trust, and our kids take time to open up. But if you be there and if you keep consistently trying every day, letting them know, not in an annoying way, like, hey, please talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. No, they're not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
But if you just let them know, like, hey, how's your day? Ask them every day, hey, how's your day? Or if you're concerned about something, let them know. Hey, I've heard about some trends that I'm kind of concerned about. I'm just curious. Do you know anything about these? I'd love to learn more. Something that I found that helps kids to be more open, if parents are curious, not judgmental. You know, if a parent asks, hey, I heard some of your friends were looking at some naughty stuff. You're not looking at that, are you? No, I'm definitely not. No. Versus, hey, I've heard of some trends I'm concerned about. Do you know anything about these? I'd love to learn more so I can know how to keep you safe. Kids are a lot more likely to open up.
So what is the best age to get the kids the mobile device?
That's kind of a two-parted question for me because there's a difference between a mobile device and a smartphone. Because the first time a kid might need a mobile device, like a cell phone, whenever they're doing like an extracurricular activity and they need to get a hold of you or you need to get a hold of them. Every family is different. Maybe one family has an 8-year-old who walks to school or uses the metro bus or something. So they think they need like a smartwatch or some sort of phone so that they can text and call and use a map. Cool. It needs to serve a purpose though. We're not just giving it to them to give it to them.
Yeah.
We're giving it to them to serve a purpose. My first cell phone I shared with my older brother. It was a flip phone that we got in high school. When we went when whoever was going on an overnight activity, they took the phone. So if I had a sporting event and I was going to be back late, I took the cell phone so that I could call my mom. But it was a shared phone and it served a purpose. I think that should be the same thing now. As your kids are growing older, it needs to serve a purpose. Now, as kids get older, yes, they're going to need to know how to use a smartphone responsibly so that when they leave the house, they're not just being thrown to the wolves. A lot of parents, they're like, my kid's never going to see a smartphone ever. And then as soon as the kid leaves the house, that's when they get their first smartphone. And it's like they're 5 years old all over again. Oh, look at all the pretty buttons. It's shiny. It's fun. And they get addicted. So I think as soon as there's a reason for kids to use a device, let them use a device. Not connected to the internet. So they can learn how to use it responsibly. They can learn, oh yeah, I turn my notifications off. That's no big deal. It serves a purpose. It is a tool. I use the tool. The tool does not use me. And then as they get older, maybe maybe when they're 14 or 15 or 16, they're interested in social media. So maybe then you can introduce the concept of social media on your own phone. Maybe they want an Instagram account when they're 15. Okay, you can have an Instagram account on my phone. So if you ever want to look at your Instagram account, okay, come here, sit by me. Let's look at your Instagram account. Yeah. You want to make a video together? You want to explore together? So that if anything pops up, you're right there to help. And it's also, you can help them kind of learn muscle memory for good habits. Now, along the way, obviously, we need to be setting proper boundaries of healthy tech use. For example, not having a cell phone in the bedroom so that your kids aren't staying up late. Having device-free zones in the house so that kids learn to communicate with each other. Having some of those healthy tech habits along the way so that when eventually they do get a phone, they do get a smartphone, they have those habits to rely on. So like, you know, when they first introduce social media on the parent phone when they're 14 or 15, and then maybe when they're 16 or 17 or 18, depending on the kid, they think they're ready for full-fledged social media. Okay, let's give it a shot. But you're building upon the foundations. You should never go from nothing to everything all at once because they're not ready.
True.
You have to start small. Just a mobile device, no social media. Then you can move it up to like a Gab Wireless or a TrueMe or a Pinwheel phone. There's lots of companies that have phones that can do like maps and pictures and group messaging and stuff like that. So the kids can have additional things on the phone when they're ready. And then eventually they can work up to a smartphone. But you have to lay the groundwork. You have to have the foundation. If you don't have the foundation, they're going to tumble and fall.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Even if you have the foundation, kids are kids.
True.
Kids make mistakes.
Yeah.
And we need to chill out. Because here's the thing. Every single one of us, you, me, and every adult, We did some pretty stupid stuff when we were kids. We just didn't record it and put it on the internet for everyone to see. And so I think we need to remember that when our kids make mistakes and not overreact, but also realize, okay, this is why we set the foundation so that when they do make mistakes, they know that we're there to help.
In all these devices, the fully parent controlled apps. So what would be the device you recommend?
Probably my favorite is phones from Bark Technologies.
But people say it is too expensive. So what do you say on that?
So if Bark is too expensive, Gab Wireless is pretty good too.
Okay.
Gab Wireless is a cheaper option where it has a similar thing. The kids have no access to the settings. So there's no loopholes to get around. Because there's no settings on their phone. They can't do it. There's nothing. It's just a phone. And the parents can control everything from their phone. And they can even look up, like in real time, what their kid's looking at. Bark, the reason I like Bark a little bit more, and probably the reason why it's a little bit more expensive, is because it has real-time prevention. For example, their cameras, kids can't take or send nude pictures on a Bark phone. Like the AI that Bark has on their cameras, it will not let them take the picture if they think it's a naked image. And so it does a lot of prevention work to help keep kids safe. It won't receive a message if there's explicit content in it. And then Bark also, if the parent account that's connected to it, you will get alerts if they're getting messages about any topic that might be concerning. Sometimes it's nothing. My cousin, his kids all had Bark phones. Bark is also a service you can just put on your iPhones. Even if you have an iPhone, you can put Bark, the app, on your kids' phones, and it'll monitor their messaging, their apps. It'll monitor the whole phone. And my cousin, his kids, they would, message each other about Nerf guns. Like, hey, we want to buy these Nerf guns and have a fun Nerf war. And that's fun. That's cool. Yeah. But Bark was like, your kids are sending messages about shooting. I'm like, oh my goodness. And my cousin laughed about it. He's like, you know what? I would rather err on the side of safety. Yeah. I'm glad I'm getting these messages.
True.
Yes, maybe it might be annoying. Yeah. But someday maybe it won't.
Yeah, true.
And so, Bark's great. Gab's also great. It's a little less expensive, but that's the cool thing. There's so many great options. There's Bark, there's Gab, Pinwheel is another one that's nationwide. TrueMe is another one that's nationwide. And there's more and more that keep coming out. That I think is really cool. Something that I think, though, adults need to get on the train. We're putting a lot of pressure on the kids, right? Don't give smartphones kids too young. What about us? How much time do we spend on our phone? How embarrassed would we be if we pulled up our screen time app on our phone?
It is so much these days.
We're always telling our kids, hey, look, your screen time's too much. Yeah. What if our kids sat down with us and said, all right, Mom, show me your screen time. Right? And so there's other companies. There's one called the Light Phone, where it's a really sleek, nice looking phone. Okay. It's black and white. There's no color. And you still have your social media apps and stuff too. It's just black and white, no color. It's a smaller phone. It makes it a lot less appealing to try and be on your phone. There's even companies that are coming out to help adults with our screen addiction, because honestly, it starts with us. That's why kids are so addicted to their screens right now, because it started with us. We love our screens so much. Our kids wanted one, so we gave them one. Mommy's on her phone all the time. Can I please have a tablet? Yeah, sure. Here you go. It starts with us.
I was talking to some of the parents I asked them, do you check the teenage or high school kids' phones? So they said, we check their phones, but it is hard to understand. They speak in some slang language, Gen Z language. Do they have to learn that, or how do we deal with this?
Well, fortunately, parents all have a Gen Z translator in their home called a teenager. If you don't know what something means, just ask. A lot of parents are like, oh, how do I decode this? It's like, just ask your kid. Again, be curious, not judgmental. If you're judgmental, hey, what does this say? There's nothing. It's something stupid. Versus, so I can't quite understand some of the words here. Can you explain to me what they mean? I just don't understand them anymore. I'm getting old. Make fun of yourself. It's okay. Some of them, I mean, there's one, gyat, G-Y-A-T-T, when kids are like, gyat. It's actually based off the slang from like back in the 60s or 70s or 80s. Back in like the 70s, 80s, when a dude would walk by an attractive woman, he'd be like, God damn. Well, that gyat is an abbreviation of that one.
That one.
That's all. Yeah. But if you don't know what the verbiage is, ask your kid. Nothing builds trust more than you trying to seek help from your kid.
Okay.
Parents don't know everything.
True.
We can't be expected to know everything. And you shouldn't act like you know everything. You can be a human. You can tell your kids, I actually don't know. Can you teach me? I don't know what this meant. I have no clue what all these words mean. Yeah. Can you please teach me so I can understand you and your generation a little bit better? And you're going to build trust with your kid.
True.
Instead of you judging your kid and Googling, oh, what does this mean? I don't even know. And then you're Googling it. Then you're on your phone more. Ask your kid. You'll build trust and you'll learn.
So these days we hear about AI chatbots.
Yeah.
So how concerning that is?
I'm getting more concerned about AI chatbots. AI got big a couple years ago when ChatGPT first came out. And ChatGPT, it's a cool creative tool. I use it all the time. But then they started using ChatGPT to make AI. And then AI, every company has their own AI thing now. And recently, Meta has come out with these new AI chatbots called digital companions. And these digital companions, you can choose their voice, and you can choose like their speaking tone or like their pattern of writing to match different celebrities. Unfortunately, Meta has recently taken a stance of not much filtering when it comes to content. Mark Zuckerberg said that they got rid of their fact checking, and so it's going to result in more content that is potentially harmful, but it's all for endeavors of free speech. That's what he said. Unfortunately, that means it's going to be easier for kids to access harmful content. And that also means that the AI chatbots are also not going to be filtered much. And we're seeing that already. A lot of kids are interacting with these AI chatbots in very sexual ways. They're asking the AI chatbots. I mean, the parents won't talk about sex with their kids. So they ask their digital companion about sex and about different sexual acts. They ask them if they can act out. Can you act out a fantasy with me? Can you chat out a fantasy with me? And can you do it in Kristen Bell's voice? Can you do it in John Cena's voice? Can you do it in Taylor Swift's voice? And they can, because they have those voices for the digital companions. And so more and more children, not just teens, but children, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds are interacting with these chatbots in very sexual ways. And it's really concerning.
Teenagers, they might know it is a bot and the AI is talking to them. But it is concerning for the younger kids. They think it might be real.
Right. The younger the kid, the more, the less of a touch with reality they have. And so it will totally distort their perception of reality too. I mean, it's interesting right now, the average age of exposure to pornography online right now, it's 9 years old is the average age. And pornography usually paints sex in kind of a violent nature. Sometimes it can just, it paints it in a very unrealistic way. And that's what kids view it to be. That's their first experience with what they think a sexual relationship is. That's what their building block is. That's what they first learn. They're going to have very unhealthy relationships as they grow up. Same thing with a lot of these chatbots and the exposure. They're going to have very skewed perceptions of who these people are. If, John Cena is letting Meta use his voice to say certain things, kids are going to think that that's who John Cena is when it's not. But the younger a kid is, the more they're going to believe it's actually the person, unless the parent says, this is a robot with this is with a famous person's voice, but it's a robot. Unless the parent talks to them about it, there's a good chance they might actually believe that it's that celebrity.
The kids who are deep into the electronic devices, like how are they affected physically and mentally, and how we can get back to the normal state?
So I think the biggest thing that is being affected right now, physically at least, is their sleep. On average, kids who have devices in their room, they go to bed about 1 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of parents are like, oh no, but I set screen limits on my kid's phone. They can't get on the phone past 10 o'clock at night. Well, they don't know the kids are going in and changing their time zone to like Beijing, China, so that they can be on their phone for 18 more hours and then switching it back before they go to bed. So no, your kids are on the phone for a long time. And our sleep is so important. Kids need about 8 to 10 hours of sleep at night. Sleep is where your brain grows. Sleep is where your synapses in your brain make connections. That's also where your body heals.
True.
And so when kids don't get sleep, they're chronically ill. So those kids that are on their screens all the time, not getting sleep, they're also missing school because they're sick all the time. And what are they doing at home while they're sick? They're on their screens. It's just a cycle of chronic illness, really. And then the mental side of being on their screens all the time, especially for those kids that are on social media, they don't have any confidence anymore. It's interesting that a majority of the accounts that kids follow are accounts that make them compare themselves, are accounts that make them feel worse about themselves. And the worse they feel about themselves, the more they try and drag other people down. And it's just a cycle. And so like, they have no confidence, they have no self-esteem. And the things that the algorithm spits out at our kids is designed to keep their attention. And the things that are designed to keep their attention are the things that exploit their insecurities. Girls will only be shown beauty accounts and different models that have been airbrushed and filtered, where they're not even a real person. Like, it's a very fake image they're being showed, but that's the beauty standard that they're using to compare themselves. So obviously they're going to have poor body image if that's what they're using to compare themselves to. And then they're being shown different styles of living, and they think, if I don't wear those clothes or have those things or spend my money, if I don't love that person or whatever it is, then I'm not enough. And so it's really affecting them, because our brains, we're not meant to be connected with hundreds of thousands of people. We're meant to have a few dozen quality connections, but kids are overloaded with how many connections they have online. Trying to appeal, trying to please everybody online, it's exhausting. And our kids are burned out.
True. We have more topics coming up in next episode, so please stay tuned.